Hi guys, so today we're going to be doing the Inktober sketchbook tour, if you can even call it that. Honestly, I didn't do so great at Inktober this year. I didn't get in all the days and I just feel like I didn't meet the expectations that I set for myself. So I also just wanted to talk a little bit about sort of what I do when I'm feeling like I failed at something in art, or like when I'm down on myself about, not necessarily meeting the expectations that I set for myself. What I do to get past that. So maybe it'll help you guys too. I had originally said I was going to do 31 drawings, like not finished pieces, but like I wanted to do 31 things. Whether it was a simple sketch or a completed drawing, I just wanted to do 31 things. And I wanted to also experiment with ink as a medium and use it a little differently than I normally do, and experiment stylistically a little bit. And I didn't do any of those things. I did none of those things. But yeah, I experimented a little bit stylistically and how I use the ink, but I definitely didn't get out of my comfort zone as much as I wanted to. But I guess when I'm feeling like I messed up at something, the first thing I try to do is find some lesson in it. There's always a lesson. I know that sounds super cheesy, but it's true. There's like a reason things didn't work out, or there usually is. Sometimes crap just is not in your control, but usually there's a reason. So for me, I guess one thing I learned, and this has kind of been a theme for the whole year for me, is that it's okay to have a life outside of art, and it's okay to prioritize that sometimes. So like I have a full-time job and I kind of squeeze art in like an hour or so after work maybe, and I think a lot of people, especially on Instagram, think I'm a full-time artist. I'm not a full-time artist. I hardly have any time to art, which I'm not complaining about, but last year I sacrificed my October for Inktober, and I finished Inktober, but I didn't do any cool fun stuff, which I wasn't super happy about that, because October is like one of my favorite months, and this year I didn't, and you know what, I'm okay with that. I'm totally okay with that. I think it's okay to put yourself first sometimes, and I think so many of us need reminder of that, especially in art. I feel like so many of us are so hard on ourselves because we just want to improve at art, and that's awesome, but remember that you need to take care of yourself too. And then, I think just in general, in terms of my goals for Inktober, I think I left it too open for myself. So like the experimenting is scary. Like it's really scary, and the idea that I had to experiment with stylistically and how I used the ink every single day, like it didn't necessarily work, and I definitely felt intimidated by that. But I'll try again next year. And I don't think it's a good idea to, like, if you fail at something, to lower your expectations the next time around, because I think that setting expectations for yourself is a good thing, because then you're pushing yourself to improve. But I'm just gonna approach it a little bit differently. And then the thing that has helped me the most is to just like move on. Like honestly, I could have continued with Inktober in November and like tried to get 31 pieces out, but I just personally, I would have felt really crappy about that. Like to be putting out Inktober stuff while everyone else has like moved on with their lives. Like personally, I just know that that would just put me into a bad headspace. So instead, I kind of jumped into a bunch of other projects I had lined up. So I have a collaboration with a company that I'm super excited about, and I'll tell you guys about that really soon. I think I should have something to show you guys like next week, or for sure this month. I have another collaboration with a friend of mine. We're doing a collab t-shirt to go along with his upcoming graphic novel, so I'm really excited about that. And then I think it was in November I hit 100,000 followers on Instagram, which is insane. And yeah, I'm gonna be doing a giveaway, and I think I'm gonna be painting a tote bag, like using fabric paint on a tote bag and like hand painting a design on it, have that be the giveaway. So I've been kind of like diving into those projects and focusing on that rather than dwelling on the thing I messed up on, moving on to things that I can be successful with. I mean, just because you fail at one thing, it doesn't mean like you as an artist or a creative person as a whole is a failure. It's kind of like if you're running a marathon or whatever and you like stumbled once, when you got to the end, like you're not gonna remember that, you know? So like a little failure, it only becomes a big deal if you dwell on it, you know, and let it take over your life. So just don't do that. Just don't do that. So I guess let's get into the sketchbook tour. Alright, so this is my Inktober sketchbook. This is a Strathmore mixed media. I think they're either 400 or 500 series hardcover. I'll link it down below, so that's where it'll be. Honestly, I really loved this paper. I don't think it's quite pure white, but it's really smooth, but it's also a nice thickness. Not too thick, but a nice thickness, so it does take ink pretty well. I don't do any like too much super just saturating with water, so I don't know how well it handles that, but for me it worked really well. The pens didn't bleed, brush pens didn't bleed. Really like the sketchbook, and I'm gonna keep going with it. So this is my first page. I kind of swatched some of the pens that I wanted to use during Inktober, and I'll have all of the ones that I used in this sketchbook linked down below in the description, so definitely check that out. So for Inktober, I didn't want it to do like each page was a finished piece. I wanted it to be more kind of sketchbooky, so you'll see like I haven't filled very many pages of this sketchbook, but there's like a bunch of different drawings on each page. And yeah, so this is my day one Inktober. I actually really liked how this one turned out, but placement of these hands was not very thoughtful. I definitely had trouble with my compositions during Inktober. Like I kept like drawing something and then looking back and be like, what the heck was I thinking? And like this one, I was going for floating hands, but because of the way they like overlap with her torso, it's like they look like these tiny baby hands, and so many people pointed that out, and I was just like, I know. But yeah, I really liked the rest of it. I just wish I'd kind of angled the arms out a little bit more. So this was, I think, either day 2 or 3, and I wanted to play with, you know, solid black work, but also texture in the shirt. You know, I was kind of going for that look where you have shape and definition defined by a pattern rather than an outline. So for example, like this, it's not outlined. And really all of the pattern is defined with the stripes. It didn't quite turn out exactly as I wanted. I think it's because I had the black in the background. I really want to try experimenting with that a little bit more, but I was really happy with this piece and how it turned out. One of the few that I actually really liked during Inktober. And then this one, I was trying to play with line artless ink washes, I guess. So I was trying to make the hair look a bit like smoke. I should have done like lighter and built it up more with multiple different washes, but I just really couldn't be bothered. And then this one I actually did a video of, which I will link up in the corner. And another one that I actually really liked. I was trying to keep it simple with the character. I've been really enjoying this like simplified type character design. Yeah, this one really worked out. I was happy with it. And I also got to play with my Pilot High-Tech C pens, which is like all the really fine lines in the background. I think that pen gives such cool texture. I love it. This page is a little weird. So this piece, I was going with kind of like a look of really fine, uniform thickness line art, like no line dimension basically. And it definitely ended up going in a place that I don't really know where it went. And it's really weird because so many people said that this was like one of their favorite pieces from me when I posted it. And I was just like, why? Like, it's so different. It's almost like, it's a little more detailed than what I usually do in terms of like the features of the face and how realistic it looks. But I don't know, it was a fun experiment, but it didn't turn out how I envisioned it in my head. So there's that. These were ballpoint pen doodles. I wanted to try to get better at just doodling with ballpoint pen. I really wanted to turn this one into like a finished piece and like really play with the shadows of the trees and ink washes, but it's something I didn't get to. I definitely want to revisit this concept because I really think it'll be fun. And then this was an initial concept. I ended up turning it into a finished illustration on the next page, so I'll show you guys that in a second. This was one of the few that I actually took from the official Inktober prompt list. I think the prompt was like flowing or something to that effect, so I just created like flowing hair, and this one just felt so comfortable to me. Like after experimenting with a bunch of different stuff, like this one just felt so good to come back to this. And like I feel like if I had just allowed myself to just do what I'm comfortable with and have the challenge just be drawing every day, like I would have been able to finish it. So this one felt really good, and I definitely want to do more like that next Inktober, I think, and just kind of take away the expectations, be myself, and just use it as a chance to draw every day. These were another one done with the Pilot High-Tech C pen, the really fine one, and I was just kind of trying to play with the character from different angles. It's pretty rough. I did those really, really quickly. So I actually did a video on this one. I will link it so you guys can check it out if you haven't already. But this one was based off of the initial ballpoint pen concept sketch right here. So obviously it changed a lot, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. So this page is just a bunch of random doodles. This is ballpoint pen. These are just Copic multiliners, and this one has a little bit of, I think, a Tombow brush pen for the hair. This one weirdly looks a lot like Rihanna, which is weird because I just drew that from my brain. I wasn't referencing anything. And then this is another one I actually enjoyed. Again, just really comfortable face. I need to do more of that. I need to do more of that, guys. So this is another one I made a video on, and it was an attempt to play with color. I have a bunch of like colored pens that it was really fun to use, and I want to play more with colored line art. It's so like outside my box, but this one was super fun. This is another one of my favorites. Again, it's pretty in my comfort zone, but I really enjoyed playing with the silhouettes of the contrasting background. It definitely, you know, just adding a contrasting shape behind a character I found can like really change the feel of the whole piece. So that was really fun. So this page is really me just trying to play with shape and proportion. And a lot of these shapes of these characters were just based off of objects that were in my apartment. So I was just sitting in my living room sketching, and I was just looking around and looking for objects that had interesting shapes and trying to be like, okay, well, how can I design a character around that shape? So I think this one was kind of based off a teapot I have. I mean, obviously it's not shaped like that, but kind of the flared out shape. I don't know. And I don't remember what the other ones were, but it was a really interesting exercise to sort of challenge yourself to think in shapes. I hate this one. This was a freehand ballpoint pen, which I'm so freaking bad at. I don't know how people do it, where they're just like sketching in ballpoint pen without pencil first. I don't know how people do it. I don't know. And then this one I really like. It started as just an experiment, again, with proportions, with body proportions, and then I ended up drawing another character upside down, and they ended up being like really symmetrical, so I connected them, and it ended up being a really interesting thing. These girls were, well, this one was drawn from a reference photo on Pinterest, and then this one was, I wanted to do the same idea, different pose from my mind, so this is from reference, this is a pose from my mind, but the same subject, I guess. And then this one, I wanted to play with trying to get the ink to do that sort of flower effect, that blossoming effect. So I just put a bunch of ink down on the paper, and then I decided to draw over it. So that's what that is. I think it's interesting to overlap things that don't necessarily sort of fit perfectly together. So like putting something down on paper and then just like drawing something over it in like not necessarily a super precise way. I think that's a really interesting look. I'm sort of digging that right now. And then this started as an Inktober piece, but then I added color afterwards. So this is one of the pieces for a collab I'm working on, and so is this one. Again, started as an Inktober, but ended up adding color. So those are really fun. So there's my Inktober sketchbook, guys. I hope it wasn't too disappointing. I told you I hadn't done much. But anyway, I hope you guys had a better Inktober than I did, and I hope that you are all doing really, really well, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!